Hello and welcome. Thank you for opting in to my mini training video. There have been a few ways that you guys would have got through to me. Let's jump straight into this. If you're struggling with generating leads, if you're looking to close more sales and you're not actually entirely sure how effective your marketing is, I believe I have the process for you. So a little bit about me. My name's James Doubtfire. I run an agency called Format Design London, and I have done for, well, 12 years now. And I've always been in and around design and marketing. I've used my experience in that space to come up with a process that works. That this is a way of how companies go from zero and in many cases to that magical seven-figure mark by being able to promote their business, by being able to communicate their service clearly, and also be able to identify who are the best people to be speaking to, who spends the most money, who's more likely to buy, who can you actually help most is what's going to be the driving factor through this process. Now, this video is not me going through the whole process. As you can imagine, that video would be very, very long, but I'll take you through some of the highlight snippets of it, and hopefully you get some takeaways that you can do yourself. I honestly mean that this is a training. I'm wanting to provide you with some insight that you can possibly go away and implement yourself. So let's just dive straight into this. So what we've got here is the communication builder. So this is my 9-step process to take you from, yeah, I'm not really sure what I'm doing. I need to generate more leads. I need to close more sales. I need to know whether my website is performing. I need to know insert piece of a marketing that you're not sure is as effective as possible. So some of the areas that I'm going to be looking to focus on in this particular video is this first stage here, where we identify your audience. So we need this. We need to know who your customers are. We need to know them intimately, and I mean this in the nicest possible sense, obviously. Well, we need to know the ins and outs. We need to know their pain points. We need to know how we can speak to them to really kind of tweak their curiosity, should we say. And then we're going to dive into this one here, where this is where it's about creating a script. Now, bear with me. This can often be seen as something a bit squishy, a bit intangible, and a bit around the edge. But this is really a thread that sort of goes through all your marketing, all your communication, internally and externally. Let's not forget that. That starts to be the driving force to why are we in this space? Why should people believe us? And why do we believe our product is far superior to others? And then I'm going to touch on up here a little bit of these two combined. So this is how we take people from very cold leads through to warm, hot prospects, as well as how do we start to put out content on a regular basis that means that those individuals say, yeah, we know who exactly to go to when we have said problem. So let's just dive straight in. From setting the scene of this training video, I'm going to reiterate, if you're struggling with generating leads and you're also struggling with closing sales, I would hazard a guess it's because we've not fully grasped exactly what our prospects, our customers, our clients really want from us. What is it that they really desire? I'm very much the advocate of clarity here. We need to be very clear. We need to be very direct. I know David Ogilvy is very much of that opinion as well. The famous advertising man, he was very much about this. We've got to keep it clear. We've got to keep the message succinct to them. So by identifying the audience, we also want to make sure that we're not overcomplicating what it is that you provide. What is it that you sell and the services that you provide? If you provide many services to many people, we've got a problem, because there's no way we're going to be able to communicate that. Our brains can only process so much information. So we want to make sure that we pick our best services, even whether that's more profitable, the ones we enjoy the most. Let's put those at the front and let's see and stress test them about who we're selling it to. because our who, my pen's going to switch off, but our who and our what cannot be the same size. Now, let me just explain that a little bit clearer for you. Who you provide your services to can be a large group of people, different types, different demographics, different industries. But what we sell to them can't be big and broad, because now we're trying to be everything to everyone. What in that example, in terms of if you've got a large group who can possibly use and benefit from your service, then we need you to narrow down exactly the problem that you solve for those group of individuals. Maybe more of a process of discovery, I suppose, really, in some sense, and sometimes it's about really kind of ignoring the fact. If anything, we all want to put more, we all want to add more value to what it is that we provide. But believe me, I've seen this. When we keep adding and we keep adding and we keep adding, that doesn't necessarily mean better client retention, certainly doesn't mean better client engagement, because now we're overwhelming them. There's a lot going on. What we want to be able to do is provide them a very specific help to a very large group of people. On the flip side of this, what we provide, the who we provide can be very specific, and actually what we provide them can be broader. So maybe you're going to say, James, it's a long-winded way of going about this, but we're really wanting a size a bit more like this. We're wanting one circle to be bigger than the other. So if our we'll go the other way around this time. If our who is very specific, then we can offer them a more broader what. So if I maybe use this in a very simple scenario, possibly if you run like an IT business, you can offer the full IT solutions, but possibly offering it to a particular market or industry or to solve a particular problem is really the route we need to go down. So if you're an IT provider and you provide it to, say, the hospitality industry, restaurants in particular, now we're starting to really get into our market, and now we can start to really understand them and really start to be able to create content around that understanding. Because let's not forget here, we're going to need to be communicating with them in such a way and putting content out in such a way that we can speak around those particular issues. I want us to avoid that huge pitfall of trying to sell ourselves to everyone and anyone. This will not benefit you. This will only confuse your customers and your prospects. So let's not do that. We don't want to do that. We want to be nice and clear. We want to be nice and direct, and we want to be able to talk to them around problems that they face. An exercise I would definitely say it's worth undertaking yourself, so you can get a bit of a clearer picture of who it is that you're talking to. Because actually, once we understand who you're talking to and what you're providing to them, the simpler it gets, or should we say, the more direct we can be in our communication to them to say, we know you have this problem. Here you go. Here's said solution. An example that I use of getting that communication right is to be more like a doctor. So if we understand that at the root of our prospects' problem, it's going to be a problem, isn't it? What is it what's blocking them, what's stopping them progressing, what's stopping them moving, is at the deep heart of it, there is a problem there. Then we need to really think about, well, what's the symptoms that they're going to be facing? There's going to be a selection of things, and my pen keeps switching off, that are going to be symptoms of said problem in the middle. Now, I want to obviously try and make this as clear as possible, so forgive me if I go over this a little bit. But if we understand the root cause of the problem, or the root of that bottleneck that's stopping them being able to get onto that next phase. And maybe using my IT company example, is that there's a frustration within the business of maybe it's speed of being able to download, upload, move information across the business. Possibly it's a communication telecoms issue, being able to talk to multiple people on site. Well, there might be a problem fundamentally with the system that they have in place, the way that that's worked throughout the business, but the symptom that they're going to be facing, so on the surface of it, there's going to be a communication issue. Such and such department can't talk to such and such department. There is a delay in the computers, so we are losing time. Our staff are having so much downtime because we cannot be able to move information quick enough. So this is what I mean by being more doctor. By really, once we've kind of understand the who and the what, we can start to understand some of the issues that they're facing, and we can start talking around those. We can start creating information around those to be able to deliver you better client engagement, which means that's going to be talking to your customers directly, which will mean that there will be more people that will be getting in touch with you because you can actually solve a said problem for them. And like I say, the doctor being, I've got a sore neck, and the root of the cause being something else. The sore neck is just something that I feel and I want a remedy for right now. But of course, underneath that, there may be another issue where how I'm sitting, what I'm doing. There could be a root cause to that issue, which the doctor obviously has to find out, and that's what your job is with your customers, to be able to work out what that issue is and be able to talk to it. And that will help you close sales as well. Let's not forget, this can go in proposals. This can go in your pitch, your elevator pitch. We know this is costing you money, downtime of staff. Here's how we can help, and actually how we can save you and make you money in that sense, right? So now we're going to get into the second step, which is mainly around creating that script. How do we look to position you as the solution, as the savior? You're the one who's going to be coming in and helping them with said problem. Mainly, we want to be thinking about those as people, as individuals, and what is it we're going to say to them? Because at the root of everything, we've got kind of 3 points here. We want to make them curious. And this is where it's a curiosity. We want to make them curious about what it is that you do. So going back to my step before, you now know the problem that they're facing. You now know the symptoms that they're having. So when you start talking about those symptoms, you're talking about something that relates directly to them. So now we're going to get their interest. Have you ever been at a dinner party and someone has said something, and it might have been somewhere that maybe a concert that you was looking to go to, or an event or of some sort, or something that you've been to, and you now have that, oh wow, yeah, I've been there, or I was thinking about going to that but I didn't. Well, that's us, that's them piquing our curiosity, and that's what we want to do with our audience, really. And then we want to enlighten them. So enlighten them. So we want to provide them with some more information. Once we've got their curiosity, we want to provide them with a bit more information. And if we use our problem, or should we say obstacle, pain, and then we've got this on the surface kind of symptom, then we really want to be hammering home the fact that we understand this symptom, and that this symptom comes about because of X, and there is a solution for that, which is Y, which is you. And this brings us on to our last point, which is commitment. We want them to commit. So as a sales process, and let's not forget, this is about generating leads, this is closing more sales, this is understanding how effective our marketing is. We're wanting them to do something, because once they do something, that's triggering an action. And that action is actually a way that we'll be able to tell, okay, we said this, and actually this many people put their hand up and asked for a second conversation. We put this on our website and we could see so many people clicked on said link and download said file. That's a commitment. We need to enlighten them to trigger an event. And there's some principles to that as well. Calling them to action is one way of doing that. You know, that's the download now, that's the click here, that's the buy now, that's those big action buttons that are there. Fundamentally, let's not be boring. We know this. There's a reason why you would have clicked on my link. Something would have spoken to you. There's a reason why your customers will click on your link and will look and read your information that you put out to market. Emotional and motivate, like emotive language. The language that you use is going to be very much dictating that, and there's a whole set of rules around those, around, you know, what do we read and how do we read them. You know, negatives don't work particularly well. Bold, news, always new. We wanting to know news. We're always wanting to know what's new, what's happening. Very important, very good language that we can look to feed into our marketing to start to trigger those reactions. Use numbers where possible. That's why we have top 5 this, top 10 that, top 3 things you definitely need. And even if that's a checklist, or, you know, there's why 9 out of 10 marketing campaigns fail. You know, it's big and it's emotive, and we can understand it. And let's always make sure that we're relaying what's in it for them. Our minds will switch off as soon as we either don't understand it or we don't believe it's relevant to us. Now, that's a great way of pre-qualifying people, because if it's not relevant to them, they won't go to the next stage. Absolutely fine. They wouldn't have bought from us anyway. But if we keep it on the what's in it for them, we're fully able to get them to engage and fully move them through to the next phase, which is going to be, you know, ultimately the purchase or the sales conversation or whatever that may be. So we're coming now really down to what do we put out and how regularly do we put it out. So this might not be so necessarily applicable to many industries, but certainly you're wanting to put something out. And I speak to many companies that might be like, oh, we send out an email once every 6 months. Not enough. We post once a month to our LinkedIn. Not enough. We need to be thinking about how can we start getting you, building a habit of you posting regularly about your business. You own the business. You know, unfortunately, I'm going to break it to you right here, midway through the video. You're in sales and marketing. And if it's not you directly, you're going to certainly need to bring a team in on this, because we're going to need to start getting these messages out regularly once we fully understand what it is that you're talking about. Simple thing to do is to draw up a chart just like this one. Think about what is it you're going to do. Start to build that habit. Maybe you'll post on this day. Oops, I've got to flip the next page. This day, and, you know, once a week you might say, okay, we're going to definitely, or you might just say we'll do it all on Tuesdays. Every Tuesday we will post something. That is a start. That will start to build you some traction. I would definitely say there is some validity in being able to build that habit to start mixing your message a bit, because let's just put it bluntly, the symptoms that your customers face will be multiple. And we need to make sure that we're regularly putting information out. However we do that, you know, our website is one place. We could be blogging, but then of course we've got to drive people to those blogs. There's no point publishing them on the site and then forgetting about them. They've got to go out via our social channels. They'll certainly have to go out via our email list. And if you do not have any of those, there are some tools that are certainly available out there that can help you with that. And lots of what we do is around setting up that foundation there, because we need to start getting you publishing regularly. One major point that comes out from a lot of our conversation when it comes to marketing is, I don't know what to post. I don't know what to say, how to say it. Insert, I don't know what to do. And then we get that, you know, you're business owners and you might have been good at doing, and I use my IT analogy, you know, I've always been in IT, and you've now taken on a business and you've now a business owner and you want to build this business, and now you're noticing that there's a bottleneck, there's an issue here that you need to tackle, which is this, either the generation of leads, the closing of sales, and you don't actually know what you're doing, what's working. So it's getting left to chance, which, you know, there's no other area of your business that you would do that in. So this was a simple tool that I was taught, and I can't take the full credit for it, and I can't actually remember who I learned this from, but I'll certainly be sure to note them, is we note down what the issue is. So we talk, going back to our symptoms again, the bottleneck. So when we're starting to conjure up and create our own content, go, right, what issue does our client face? Why do they face it? What's the lesson for them? What's the lesson to be learned about said problem? How can they now apply, now they know and they've had this lesson about said problem, how can they now apply this to their business? And what we call a CTA, which is the call to action. How can they, because you've got the solution, remember, you can solve this bottleneck, you can help them overcome this obstacle. So how now do we get them to engage, and how do we get them to commit? That's the third fundamental there. Really, we need them to commit. A simple sheet like this, I could see if you sat down and maybe filled this in once a week, and you picked a few of those symptoms that your clients face on a regular basis. I could see you creating content for weeks to come. There's schedulers, there's ways that you can book this stuff in and get it going out. It doesn't necessarily need you sitting on Facebook, LinkedIn, all these other sites every day. Not at all. There's ways that we can schedule those and have those running in the background. So I'm hoping those tools give you an understanding of what it is that the process helps you explore and unpack. My last point is that we just have to measure this. We're talking about the effectiveness of marketing. We need to know what's working, what's not working. And this isn't we sent 100 emails and only 2 people opened it, or this sort of stuff. While they are metrics, it's not necessarily a bad thing. We just need to know what we need on a regular basis, or what we want on a regular basis, to understand whether our investment in that piece of marketing has worked. So we need some indicators in there. We need to know how many visitors to our website. A classic example is me talking to a business owner who says they do not know how many visitors they have to their site. Well, surprise, that's if you have 1,000 people that turn up in a month, that's 1,000 people that read your content and read your information. Now, if you're not getting one person who are raising their hand or are asking for more information, we've got a disconnect there. And that disconnect can be solved quite quickly through a messaging piece, and some of that's through the structure of the site, and some of that call to action stuff that we've been talking about. We need to know what these KPIs are to understand how effective our marketing is. If we're posting on a certain channel and that seems to deem more effective than another channel, we have a discussion of whether that's the content, whether it's the timings. Is this something that you double down in one area because that seems to get you a better response? Let's keep an open mind. Let's make sure that we're keeping everything as a possible option. But I would certainly say, to start off with, pick 1 or 2 channels at the most. Let's not overwhelm ourselves with this. Let's start using that email, start using that social media stuff. These are never quick fixes. You'll certainly have people in your network who will raise their hand early, which is, excellent. Let's get some quick wins, but these are not quick fixes. But what these do is build up that foundation in your business, so you can sleep at night and you can understand, yes, my marketing is effective. It does what it needs to do. It's not a constant worry that someone arrives at your site and misinterprets and then comes through and they end up being a rubbish lead because they believe you do something else, or you solve a different problem because you've not communicated it effectively. So let's get that, effective communication up. So let's just, to summarize, to bring this back to, if the generating leads is a problem, you struggle to generate leads and you struggle to close sales, then certainly going through a process like this will give you plenty of anchors to be able to start to monitor and track that, and to understand how effective your marketing or ineffective your current marketing is. This is certainly a tool for that. This is going to be the foundation for you. This is going to be the process that you need to go through to clearly get an understanding of your business, where it is now, and what changes you can do to get you those quick wins to start building that foundation of your business. Because the model for me is simple, and it's okay for me to say it's simple, that I don't need to understand it. It's you, the business owner, that needs to understand it. And I suppose I do in many ways, because I own a business as well. I have a couple. So your business's growth is based on you being able to communicate to your customers, to your audience, to your prospects, and to your staff. Let me get the pen back on. Apologies. Let me get the pen back on. Communicate why you're in that space. What is it that you're doing there? What your plan is for them, what your solution is, how you help them, how you bring them to success and help them avoid failure. There's lots of that needs to go through that communication, and it needs to be clear, it needs to be direct, and it needs to be succinct. We're humans at the end of the day. 4,000 messages we believe we're receiving each day. It's a lot. We need to be clear on that. And a lot of that communication is then fed into our marketing. So that's how we actually get it out to the world. Yeah, it's okay, us having an excellent business plan with all these talking points in it, but then if it goes in the drawer and the drawer's shut, never seen again, we've got a problem. The correct execution of that marketing ties straight back into the business's growth. You start getting the leads that you need, you start converting that business, you start to understand what's working and what doesn't work so well and where you need to improve. You're only going to be in a better place, right? Inside of those, as you can see, there's an area here where we plan. So we plan this communication, we plan our growth. We all have, maybe you woke up one day and was like, right, I want to, be in so many countries and turning over so much work. We need to be going into then the communication of that. And then there's some design elements that need to be understood there. How do we work and how do we appeal to our audience? Once we know who that audience is in our communication piece, we then pull this into the marketing section. So how is it engaging? How do we turn up? Let's not forget, once you've got that communication right, actually makes that design a lot simpler, a lot easier to understand, a lot easier to go through, because pretty sites don't convert. Effective sites convert. Clear sites convert. Well communicated sites convert. So this is how we need to be approaching those. The all important, what we're all here for, and why we started our business is to generate revenue, to move ourselves forward in our lives. And then of course the marketing should be closely interlinked with the sales. There needs to be a correlation between the two, and this is where and what gets measured gets managed analogy. Once we're measuring those, once we're fully understanding how they're connected, and once one activity, a marketing activity happens, we see an increase in the sales activity, we can then see that direct connection, that direct correlation. And this all ties back in to the business growth section. So I'm hoping that all made sense, and I'm hoping there's some elements in there that you can look to take away. As you'll see, this is part of a bigger process, and I've tried to go through this kind of as quickly as possible. So again, I understand there's a lot for you to digest and download there. But this is all part of you building that foundation in your business, you understanding where it is that you can improve the areas of your business that you're marketing at the moment, and maybe you're doing none. Maybe there's very little, or maybe you actually don't know what works, which is, another area that we'd need to address. And I'm opening up my calendar for you to book calls with me where we can do a full strategy session to start really understanding where some of those holes are and what we can do to start implementing some quick fixes. If you believe the communication builder is something that would be of value to you, you want to generate more sales, you want to close more, you want to generate more leads, should I say, you want to close more sales, and you want to understand effective marketing and how best to implement the foundations of that effective marketing through your business, then I implore that you book a call with me today. There should be a link at the bottom of this video where you can get more information on me. You can have a look at my calendar, you can book a slot, and I'll look forward to speaking to you all soon. I'm James Doubtfire. The Communication Builder is my process. business owner myself, my purpose now is to help you grow your businesses so that you can meet your goals, so that you can sleep well at night knowing that your business is functioning in the way that it should. I look forward to speaking to you soon. Thank you.